welcome to this presentation on the interesting topic of online campaigning. First of all, I think online campaigning is kind of like, it's got these two very split images, I would say. It's on the one hand, it's an easy way to activism. It's something we can do from our sofa. It's something that potentially doesn't take a long time to do, although looking at the plethora of options we have when we want to do online campaigning, maybe sometimes it does actually take quite some time until we found just the right petition. And on the other hand, it's kind of marred by this idea of, well, what good is it if I sign an online petition? What impact is this actually going to have? And I think a lot of people are kind of discouraged by also just the sheer number of online petitions, probably thinking that, well, if everything is just split up in, if all issues are split up in like 100,000 online petitions, then what good is every single petition still going to do? And I hope that this presentation is going to help a little bit to kind of use our time online wisely and pick the petitions that maybe are going to have an impact, and also just kind of see what the impact of an online petition can be at all, in case we're feeling a little bit doubtful about if it's any good at all to do online petitioning and online campaigning. So the first question is, where do I start at all? Just a quick search in the internet is going to reveal so many petition sites, different organizations offering their own petitions, sites that are just hosting sites for petitions. And the question is, well, say I just want to sign a petition because I've read an article about bee killing pesticides and I want to do something about it. Where do I even start? How do I make my choices? First of all, there are some basic considerations when looking at possible petition sites. One of the most important ones is the site specific to the UK, or is it a worldwide site? We'll see later. I have some examples regarding bee killing pesticides petitions. And there's, of course, petitions worldwide going on. And it might be that the first one that pops up is actually one that doesn't target the UK government, but for example, targets the European government or the US government. And in that case, it's still an important petition, but it might not be what the cause that I right now want to support. Is the site that I'm using of a specific political or religious denomination? This might be a good or a bad thing. Say if it's a site that's run by a Christian aid charity that I really trust, I might say, well, that's great. I trust them to do a decent petition and I know them from having supported them before. On the other hand, it might be that it's a site that is has a nice looking petition, but maybe other contents of their online presence would not align with my beliefs. So that's just something to basically double check what kind of a host is behind the petition that I found. What information does the site want from me? It differs quite a lot how much you have to fill in. Again, not necessarily a bad thing if they make you fill in more things, but it's a time sensitive. If it's time sensitive, I might want a site that just wants my name and email address and then be done with it. How transparent is the site that I'm on? Am I able to, at a glance, kind of see how they're set up, what they're all about? Or is it like a big model of a lot of really chaotic looking things and I'm a bit confused by it? And also, how current is the petition? That's another thing, a bit like what government does it actually target. A lot of the petitions that pop up might be years old, and this is not always easy to see. We'll see in a few examples in a second that this information is not necessarily out there at first glance, but the petition might be easily a couple of years old and just still kind of knocking about on the site. So petition date is another thing to look out for. Some of the most popular petition sites, which you might have come across before, 38 Degrees is one that's specific to the UK. They're very transparent. They're always like they're basically the teacher's pet site, I think, in a lot of ways when you want to illustrate how a transparent, proper petition site is run. Then the petition site hosted by gov.uk, official petition site where the government gives citizens the possibility to set up petitions and sign petitions. Some of Us is a worldwide site that also has a lot of UK specific content, but there you always have to look out what you're actually, what country you're actually targeting. Then Avas, where I never quite know how to pronounce them, which is a huge organization based in the US, but also operates worldwide. And change.org, also a worldwide organization. So that's sort of the first thing to get straight in our heads, which organizations or petition sites are based where and what kind of petitions can we expect to find on them. And then, of course, there's always organizations running petitions themselves, like Greenpeace or Friends of the Earth, Wildlife Trust, RSPB, these to name but a few. Good thing about these petitions that are actually coming off of these sites of these organizations is that you don't have a lot of the problems that you have on a petition site like 38 Degrees with petitions that are staged by these organizations, simply because there's a certain scientific weight behind them, whereas these petition sites are set up in a way that any citizen can set up their own petition. So we'll talk about the problem of lack of evidence for claims made in petitions a little bit later on. So these sites are basically, if you find a fitting petition on one of these sites, it's just a very safe bet. You kind of know they did the work in the background. They have the scientific background. They did all the research for you, and if you trust them, then you can probably trust their petitions. Some examples of different petitions, just to kind of show the different layout and how difficult or easy it can be to work with these petitions. I just went online and I was looking for a petition on the topic of bees and protection of bees from bee killing pesticides. This was one I found on 38 Degrees. So 38 Degrees is a site that is just a platform for citizen-made petitions. However, it's also used by bigger charities, not only by single citizens. So here we can see this petition is actually started by Bug Life, the charity. So they have their logo there. So it is backed up by a big charity. We see it is directed, where it's very clear here to see, to George Eustace, Minister of State for the Environment. So it's clearly a UK petition, and you can also see it's a current petition. The last people who signed just a couple of days ago, and it's a strong petition. It's going strong. It's already over 67,000. So this would be all signs of a good, solid petition targeted at the right people. Currently running, so this will probably be a good one to sign. When you then go further on with the same site, you have to confirm your age. You can then choose if you would like to be emailed about this and other great campaigns. Now, I often tend to click no, because I don't want to get even more emails in my email inbox. However, of course, it does mean that you don't get updated on the success of this very petition. So that's just the downside. And then because Bug Life is involved with this petition, you can also agree to Bug Life contacting you about more of their campaigns. But it's always important to see it's never only about this one campaign. It's always them saying we're allowed to send you more stuff. So yeah, if you want to sort of keep your email inbox halfway empty, you probably should click no, but then you don't have the update on the petition. And why that can be a problem with not getting updates on the petition, I'm going to come to a little bit later when I'm talking about a little bit more dodgy petitions where things can go a bit south sometimes. Anyway, then you sign it, and then they will ask you to spread the word and to donate something. And this is something that is not generally, I've talked to people before who were kind of alarmed by that, who said like, oh, why do they all of a sudden want my money, or why do they want me to do more things? But it's actually all sites will always ask you to share and donate, and so that's not a sign that they're not somehow legit, but it should never be obligatory. So you should always be able to just click it away, and depending on their layout, they will make you feel more or less bad about not sharing and donating. We're going to have an example later, which I think is sort of bordering on, yeah, it's not really very fair way of doing it. Same topic, I went to another site, Some of Us, which was a worldwide operating site. And here's again, looks very, very similar, protect the bee saving ban on toxic pesticides. But here, this is one that is directed to the European Commission. So in this case, and this is up there in the corner, relatively small, you can see that this would not impact UK policy now that we've left the European Union. So if you wanted to impact UK policy, then this would be the wrong petition. It's of course still a worthy cause, but it would just not affect UK policy in that case. Before you then sign, it again says here to European Commission. So it's quite clear that it goes to them. Again, you can select the option, tell me if this campaign wins and how I can help other relevant campaigns. So again, there's going to be a flood of stuff in your inbox, or no, I don't want to hear about this progress. And then when you sign, they will again ask you to share and donate if possible. And then I went, same topic, to change.org and just typed in bees. They have an on-site search engine where you can type in the topic you're interested in. And I found some petitions here that were UK petitions, both started in that case not by bigger charities or anything, but by private people. Both of them already a bit old, January 21 and then August 2018. You can see the 2018 one garnered a lot of supporters in its time, but it will probably not be very helpful to sign it now, because I suppose they've by now handed it in to George Eustice. And this is a definite downside of a lot of petition sites, is that it's not very clear if the petitions are live or not. Like, they might still be accepting signatures, but they might have gone past a certain point where they actually already handed in the signatures to whatever person it was for. So that's a bit, that's why I tend to kind of disregard petitions that are over a year old, because I just figure, well, unless it says specifically that they're still running and it says a specific date until when they'll be up. But yeah, and unfortunately that information is not always easy to find. And then on the same site, there were a whole bunch of bee petitions, but these, for example, when you click these on, you saw that they were all based in the United States. They went to the EPA, and they were also very, very old already, 5 years old. So that could have been quite confusing, because there was on first glance a lot of petitions that looked interesting if you wanted something on that topic, but most of them were just not relevant. So in that case, on change.org, you didn't really find a very good petition on the topic. There was also one on the UK government site, also doing well. So there you can sign in it's basically the same that happens with any petition. I mean, eventually the signatures are being handed to the government, and then the same kind of rules apply for any petition. So at 10,000 signatures, the government will issue an official response, and at 100,000 signatures, the government will consider the petition for debate in Parliament. And this applies to petitions made through the government website, but generally the same type of numbers also apply for petitions that are run elsewhere, and where then in the end the signatures are given to the government. So these are interesting numbers to keep in mind, also to kind of garner, when you're looking at a petition online, how successful, how big this petition at the moment is. So if it's already got over 10,000 signatures, you know it's sort of in the realm of the government has to issue an official response. These responses are often mind-numbingly, yes, I mean, if you've seen them, they're often a joke of just sort of empty phrases because they have to issue a response. If it's anywhere near 100,000 signatures or over that, it's more interesting, because this will actually go into parliamentary debate. Often these are these debates where Parliament is basically empty, except for a couple of very involved MPs. But still, it kind of gives you an idea what the government considers a large petition. I think that's the takeaway message from these numbers. If you use the government site, you have to verify your email address and verify your signature by clicking a link in your email. And this is something that some petition sites do and others don't. And it's just an important thing to look out for, because if you're on a site that wants you to verify your signature, then if you forget to do it, your signature just won't be counted. Looking at Greenpeace, obviously a worldwide organization, but if you're on their UK site, they're going to show you petitions that tackle UK topics. And if you go on there, it's the same thing. They say here, you don't have to leave your email address or phone number, but if you do, we'll use these to keep you updated on how you can get involved through petitions, campaigning, volunteering, and donating. So again, you're going to get a lot of emails from them. They actually, they must have gotten hold of my mobile phone number at some point, because I keep getting phone calls from Greenpeace informing me about their membership, and I keep telling them, yes, I've been a Greenpeace member since I'm 8 years old. Can you please take my phone number from your records? I don't want to keep getting, don't want you to spend your valuable time calling me up. So once they have your data, they will use it. But yeah, you don't have to give it to them. And again, they will ask you to donate as well. So why do these places actually ask for donations? Maybe some people might ask, like, how do donations impact online petitioning? And the answer is that most of the money spent on an online petitioning campaign goes into social media advertising. So they will advertise the petitions through Facebook and Instagram, and that costs money. So a lot of the petition budget is going into just advertising the petition to more people. And that's why they're asking. That's basically also why they're saying you make a bigger impact if you can also support the petition with a small donation, because then they have more money to spend on that petition, on pushing that petition out to people. And this was one from Friends of the Earth. Again, very easy to see, to UK government. And this is a big petition. So there were with well over 250,000 people. So in government terms, this is a petition which will be debated in Parliament. So this is like a sizable petition that they have there. And again, will you share this petition, and will you do a donation? And here it's like you can make a monthly donation. So basically become a supporter of Friends of the Earth, or a one-off donation. With sharing the petition with friends and family, of course, it's great to just let more people know about it, because one of the main things that online petitions do is that they raise awareness for issues. If you're someone like me who's relatively active in signing online petitions, I most of the time decide actually not to share them, because I don't want to overflood my social circles with yet another petition. I have a very good friend who keeps doing that, and I'm sort of like tend to click away everything I get from her, because I'm just overwhelmed with it. So I kind of only share the petitions I'm especially passionate about. And then always with longer text and everything explaining why I'm sharing it. So yeah, but of course it does increase the reach of petitions. If you look on Avas's site, they work a bit differently. So you will have a hard time if you go on their website to actually find petitions to sign, because they are an online activism community. So they're a huge community. Almost 70 million people are signed up to their network, which is a crazy number. They work worldwide, and they've been recognized as a very important pressure group by many politicians who've kind of given statements on their work. And because they work as a pressure group kind of thing, there it's more. They don't so much have a website where there's different petitions you can sign, but the idea is that you sign up to their network, and then they will email you their current petitions, and then you will sign them from your emails. So that's just a different way of doing it, and because they will know where you are, they will send you petitions that are also relevant to where you are. So that's just a different way of going about it. And what's just nice, I think, about that, as far as online campaigning goes, is that first of all, you have this wonderful map where you can see there's just, I mean, it's just nice to know that 70 million people, almost 70 million people are signed up to an activism platform. And they have this ticker there with happening right now, which always shows you people who have just signed an Avat's petition. And I think that can be very uplifting if that ticker just goes through and you see that people all over the world are signing positive petitions for change. So I find that that's just a community feeling that you don't really get on other sites, apart from sort of seeing the numbers. But here, because they have this where it's actually running through and you see all the different countries, you really get this idea of being part of a worldwide movement. So that's, I think, a pretty powerful thing. And they've lately started now a platform where citizens can start their own petitions over under the umbrella of Avats as well. So if you want to get really active and start your own petitions, then that's also a platform to do that on. Right, so that was just a huge amount of different examples of what these sites look like and what paths they lead you down when you do petitions with them. As a kind of takeaway, what to expect from these sites. If you're looking at personal data, they will all always ask for your full name, obviously, because you're signing a petition with your full name, just like when you sign a petition in the streets. A lot of them will ask your postcode, which I always find interesting. Why do they want to know my postcode? I don't know for what statistics they use that, but I just found that that's often you have to give in your postcode. Some of them will ask your email, either because you have to validate your signature through the link in an email, or because they want to send you things, but you can always opt out of receiving emails from them. What you should not have to provide is your full address or phone number. That should never be obligatory. No decent site that I've seen ever asks for the address and the phone number as an obligatory part of signing up. It should always be, you have the option to give it to them, but you shouldn't have to. As far as the signing process goes, some sites will require you to click a link to confirm the signature. Some sites will give you the option to not display your name publicly, like this one here. So there's actually, you can be counted as a number, but you won't have to stand for it with your name. I find that this is something that is especially good for people who have no prior experience with online campaigning and who might be very hesitant to put their name to something. So if you have friends who are kind of like, yeah, I would like to do something, but I'm not sure, I don't want my name to be out there, then I think change.org, for example, is a site where you can just choose to not display the name and comment publicly, but still be counted as a supporter. And also some sites will give you the option to add a reason for signing the petition, like just a little text box where you can say why it's important to you. And these quotes might be used then in there when they do outreach or press stuff or commercials for the petition, or they might partly, if they print out a list of people who signed the petition, they actually hand like these, you sometimes see these pictures where they hand like huge stacks of paper to politicians, which are just all the printed out signatures of online petitions, and they will actually then print the reasons for you signing with your name. Don't know if anyone will ever read it, but it can just make it seem a little bit more weighty if a lot of people would add their actual opinion and not just their name, because it kind of probably just shows that people really care, because that's the other thing that online petitions do. They show that people are passionate about a cause. And after signing, they will ask you to share the petition, and a donation, which is never obligatory. And some other sites will suggest other petitions that you might also be interested in. So it'll just be sort of other petitions popping up that you might want to sign. And then you just have to be aware that this is a never-ending rabbit hole. They will never stop showing you more petitions you could potentially be interested in signing. So don't feel bad about just clicking them away. You might want to look at them for a bit, but it's not like you can ever sign all the petitions that you might be interested in. This was the example I talked about earlier, where I thought this was a site where it was kind of a little bit bordering on not okay how they had their layout, because they have this, yes, I'll chip in £2. No, I'll share instead. Join the community, and then very small in the very bottom of the site it says, sorry, I can't do anything right now. That was when, if you didn't want to share or donate, you had to click that on, or you could just click the site away, just close the browser window. But I thought that was a little bit very pushy, because it almost looks like there is no option to click out of that site, and then before you find the sorry, I can't do anything right now. So I thought that was a little bit not so great. But of course, they're all trying to get support and to get their petitions out there. So then what to be a bit wary of is sites with bad transparency regarding funding and how they use donations. So like I said in the very beginning, if a site seems very chaotic and badly organized, and you don't find like a clear about section and a section about what they do with donations, I would be a little bit hesitant to give them my data. Sites that have a lot of outdated petitions. So if you really notice it's a site that's full of petitions that are several years old, it might not mean that it's generally an evil site, but it might mean that it's right now not the best site to use for a petition because it's not being used. Sites which don't make it easy to opt out of email communication. So this should be really straightforward and very easy to do as you sign, to opt out of all communication. If that's not the case, I would be a little bit suspicious that they're after your data and after selling on your data. Same thing with sites that use extreme imagery. There were unfortunately a couple of cases where scam sites were, and this is mostly concerning animal rights, because they work with pictures of animals that are designed to make people feel very emotional and then not think clearly anymore, where they would collect people's details and then just sell these details on. So that was something that there was a whole ring of these a couple of years ago that was uncovered in the US. Since then, I've not heard any more of it, but definitely if anything seems somehow over the top, or just not like on the streets, if something is somehow too, it just doesn't seem right, then it's better to just go to a different site if you're in doubt. And third and most difficult to tackle problem is lack of evidence for claims made in the petition. And this is a general problem with online petitions. Who to trust, the lack of evidence problem. There's a very good article on this link where it's basically, it has happened before that there were online petitions that were saying where this petition protests against ABC, and then it kind of people were flagging it and saying like, yeah, but ABC is not actually happening. This is wrong information, and then the text of the petition was kind of amended to reflect that, and then that was somehow also not good. And then in the end, the petition was amended several times until the text didn't really resemble the text from the very beginning, but people had already signed it. So basically there was now a new petition, but old signatures which had signed under a different text that had contained faulty information. So that is the kind of stuff that gives online petitions a bad reputation. And the best way out of that, other than being a massive expert on the topic that you're signing on yourself, is to use petitions by reputable organizations which specialize in the topic. So if you have an organization like the RSPB or the Wildlife Trust or Greenpeace, they have their scientists, they do the work, they fact check their petitions. But like I said, most petition sites, like 38 Degrees, for example, or some of us, just allow any citizen to start a petition, which is great, but they don't have the capacity to fact check every single petition. So basically, if Linda next door starts a petition because she read something in the newspaper, then that is the petition. And as long as it doesn't get flagged by other users, chances are that no one has really checked it. So I would always err on the side of caution and just sign petitions that are backed up by bigger organizations, rather than petitions that are just started by random people on topics that I maybe don't know a lot about. You see there's a lot with petitions on say like more right-wing agendas that deal with the refugee crises and that ask the government to not let in more refugees or whatever, that are just working with wrong numbers, with faulty assumptions, and just repeating sort of Fox Media things that they've heard somewhere. So and the same thing happens on the other side of the spectrum as well. So it's just important to be as certain as possible that the evidence behind the petition is valid. If you do see a petition anywhere on a site that does seem dodgy, it's always important to flag it to the petition site, because then they will check it, and if they find that it's misleading or false information, they will take it down. So just if you ever come across one where you really say like, hang on, this petition claims that the earth is flat when actually I think it isn't, then you just flag that petition so that they can get looked at. And of course, inform yourself on the topics that you're passionate about, so that you become more empowered to make these decisions, which petitions seem legitimate and which don't. But yeah, I think the best route to take here is to just use organizations where you know that they have the science to back up what they're saying. And yeah, this is a very good article on this Ask for Evidence site dealing with this problem. So overall, to finish up, is it worth all the trouble clicking yourself through all the sites and finding the right petition, fact checking it, and for what? But yes, absolutely. It used to say 100% yes there. I don't know where the 100% went. 100% yes, it's worth it, because petitions raise awareness first and foremost. They show our elected officials that people are passionate about an issue. It's this this pressure from below that is made visible through petitions. It puts pressure on businesses and politicians to address issues, because it tells them that people are passionate about an issue. And with that, they're an important aspect of a democratic system and a way for people to engage with their elected representatives. It also gives people the possibility to get involved without exposing themselves to any dangers like arrest or bad weather or whatever else you could encounter when you go to an actual protest or demonstration. So yes, petitions are important. They will not single-handedly change a situation, but they're an important puzzle piece of being an active citizen. So even though it might sometimes seem like almost, I know that sometimes people tend to feel a little bit bad about just signing online petitions and not doing anything else, but just signing online petitions is still much better than not signing online petitions and not doing anything else, because then you're doing zero. Whereas if you're signing online petitions, you're at least signing online petitions. So yes, by all means, I would say do encourage everyone to take part in these petitions, even if it does sometimes seem like it's just a drop on the hot stone. But at least it's a drop, and if there are very many drops, then that might cool the stone down a bit. So yeah, that concludes the presentation. And I love this quote by Martin Luther King, that our lives begin to end in the moment that we become silent about things that matter.